Hello, everyone, and welcome to Entertainment Expansion. We are your hosts, Tyler Callahan and Mike Ferrante. Mike, how you doing?
Well, Tyler, coming up upon the new year, I found myself asking myself just one question. What would John Wilkes Booth do?
That is a very poignant question that, depending on the situation, has many answers on what
Indeed.
Wilkes Booth would do. He probably would enjoy the main character of this movie very much, if I'm being honest. He'd probably see a lot of him, of himself.
I don't know about that because before we get into all of this, we're talking about The Killer, David Fincher's new Netflix film. You can watch it yourself on Netflix, starring Michael Fassbender
Is that what it means to be a
and
Netflix film? You can watch it on Netflix?
sometimes actually. I've seen Netflix films off Netflix from time to time.
All right. Sorry, it's just you left yourself wide open for me being a smartass.
That would imply that you were smart, my friend.
Yeah, I'm usually just an S. Um,
Indeed.
well, this is his second Netflix film. Previously, a few years ago, he came out with Mank, starring Gary Oldman, and yeah, this is his second movie. And I'm sorry for all you people out there who love Manhunter. He is or Mindhunter, whatever it is. He's not making that third season, so shut up about it.
Yeah. Third season. There's a second season?
See, you are the reason there's not a third season.
Fair.
But then there's people like me who've never seen any of it, so
I
I,
thought I watched all of it, but I didn't see a second season. But we're not here to talk about Mindhunter. We're here to talk about The Killer. And like like ourselves getting derailed here in the movie, things get derailed very fast.
0 to 100, mind you. It derails. Like once it derails, it just escalates pretty fast.
Yep, that's indeed
Um,
of what it does.
so I guess the preface, shocker. We're going to be spoiling the movie. I mean, this is also specifically this is one of those movies you can't really talk about what you like and didn't like without spoiling specific parts. So I guess just to give it some context, Michael Fassbender is back. He's acting again. Thank God. He plays a hitman, contract hitman. He's given a job in Paris. It goes wrong. Um,
Very fast.
very fast, also very funny, but yes, very fast. And as a result of that, someone close to him is seriously injured because he messed up the job. And then he, as he says repeatedly throughout the film, this is not personal. It's not personal. He begins a globe-trotting adventure for revenge. That is not
Which
personal.
is which is personal.
But when he says it's not personal, you know what he says goes.
Yeah. Um if you're wondering about the whole what would John Wilkes Booth do, it is actually a line from the film. And can tell you one thing. John Wilkes Booth kind of screwed up compared to Michael Fassbender's character because he actually ran away, hid successfully.
I thought you were going to say, well, at least John Wilkes Booth got the job done.
That's true. He did get the job done.
He got his job done.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, I guess Michael Fassbender got his job done eventually.
Eh, I
Wasn't the
guess.
job he initially got paid for, but
Yeah, all right. So let's talk about the hit then. Let's break it down. So really what I find unique about this film is that you can take the first 20 minutes. It's basically like I wouldn't say a short film because usually short films are like 5, 10 minutes, but like you could section that off up until he fires the gun, the sniper, and he misses his target. That could be an entire film by itself, right? You have this killer, you don't know his name, you watch him. Was it basically 2 full days of
yep.
activities, hyping himself up, right? He is smarter than the average person. He's better than you. He knows it. He has just all these specific details on basically how to stay in shape and how to eat on the cheap. You know, get the McDoubles, take out the cheese, you get your protein for $1. You dress like a German tourist. He has all these tips and tricks to be an assassin, right? Because again, he's the best. He thinks he's the best, and he fucks up the shot.
Yep.
And I will say, I actually was able to see an early screening of this movie in a theater, and when he just says "fuck," after messing it up. That got a couple laughs.
Yep.
Just the way Fincher executed that, I think was amazing.
Yeah, because you're expecting him to.
Hmm.
It's our first introduction to this character. He's supposed to be a badass killer who never misses, and the first time we see him, he misses.
Yep. And then, like you said, it escalates from there. A lot of the film happens in America, numerous parts. You know, we had down south, we had out west, we go to Chicago, and basically he's working his way up the chain from the taxi that dropped off the hitman in retaliation to the hitman's assistant or enforcer, I would say is a better term, right? Which I don't know about you, but that fight scene between the enforcer and the killer, I'm not saying it is the best fight scene of the year, but I'm saying it goes toe to toe with some of the best fight scenes of the year, which for me is basically like almost every scene from John Wick Chapter 4.
Hmm.
Agree or disagree? Like, I'm not saying it's better than them, but like the best fight scenes this year in movies, basically, if you make a top 3, top 5 list, they're all from John Wick. Let's be honest. It's just
Yeah,
minimum. That's what it is. The killer fight scene versus the enforcer in Florida, I think, is in that list.
it's definitely a good fight scene. Definitely on the realistic side of how that fight probably would go down, because the enforcer is definitely much larger
Oh,
than.
no, you're right. There's a few times during that scene, it's like, okay, this is where he dies. This is where the killer dies. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
But what made it stand out to me was so Fincher had a very stable camera shots, like it's not handheld or anything. Everything's very stable. And then once the scene starts, it's very visceral, shaky cam. It's in your face. Like it's like a jolt to the system. It's shock to the system and how the movie was seen so far, which I think makes it stand out compared to everything else in the movie.
true.
Because even any other encounter with the taxi cab, with Tilda Swinton's character, with the guy who ordered the hit in the beginning, like all those confrontations are very normal cameras, no movement, no nothing. And in this fight scene, they're flinging around up and down around the house, and the camera follows that.
Yeah.
Uh,
To be fair, we also should mention, like, the people who ordered the hit on the main character is the same people who we worked for. It wasn't like in retaliation of the client that he was trying to kill. It was literally the failsafe program of that
oh no, let's clear that up
equipment
even
company.
further. This is an amateur person who has never ordered a hit in his life,
Yeah,
and he got called by the handler saying, "Hey, the killer, right? He messed up. Your target's not dead. Do you want us to handle this for you?" And because he's an amateur and didn't know what that meant, he said, "Fine, please handle it for me," which then set off all of this. So not
yeah,
only, which I do think was kind of stupid for the handler, and we're talking to a guy down in New Orleans, right? You know this guy's an amateur. Does it the first hit, as far as you know, based on his acting, that he's ordered, right? And you're really like, okay, well, I know the killer. I know he's done quite a few kills because they seem to have a relationship based on when they finally meet. They know each other, and it's just like,
yeah.
oh, okay,
But it's not
you're
personal; it's business.
yeah, I know, but like, wow, it's just okay. Like, did you explain to this guy what this actually means? Like, you're gonna get this person killed, his loved one possibly killed, all because he messed up the hit. Like, you're like, I'm not saying it's a problem with the script. I just kind of find it like,
Well, it's all tying up loose ends because the
yeah, it's
handler's
tying up
job
loose
is
ends. But then,
to.
like, okay, then he's like, I'm kind of with the killer on this that it's not personal to some degree. To some degree, if the handler is willing to just drop him and kill him because of the failed hit, he should not be upset that the killer is going to come back to kill him. It's self-preservation at that point.
Fair.
Like, oh, I fucked up. I'll just sit here wait for them to clean up and kill me. It's like, well, I didn't mean to mess up, so like I guess that's what I like about this movie is like for as much as everyone says it's not personal, everyone's very human in their emotions and reaction.
It's true.
Take Tilda Swinton's character, right? Michael Fassbender gets her at the restaurant, trapped, has her dead to rights. They have a nice meal, or she has a nice meal. He watches, have a nice meal, right? She goes along. She knows she's done, right? There's nothing she can do. But then right at the end, she pretends to trip and fall and tries to stab him to get away. You know, it's like,
Self-preservation.
yeah, self-preservation. Again, like she was very calm in the restaurant, didn't freak out. She had her last meal, had a conversation. And you think, just go quietly into the woods and be done with it. But like, nope, last second, she had a plan to try and get out. Didn't work. But it's very human of her, right? Like
Yes, but it's also very Hitman like mind too, because she doesn't fully know, but she can pretty much assume that he's not going to just kill her right in front of a whole bunch of witnesses, that he would actually want to leave.
exactly, that gives her a chance to start to plan out where can I jump him.
Correct. How can I throw him off this guard? Because this entire time I'm trying to make him more comfortable.
Hmm. Let's get him drunk. Let's get him fed. No, okay, he's not doing
Yep.
that. He's not doing that. All right.
Let's talk. Let's get him comfortable. Because yes, he's still going to try and kill me, but if I can just get him to drop his guard for a second, that's maybe all I need.
Hmm. And then I would also even say, even at the end, he does all this work the entire movie. He finally gets to the guy that ordered the initial hit, and he just scares him and walks away.
Yeah. So do we have a problem? He's like, no. Okay, we're good then.
Yeah. Now, I feel like that's what kind of makes this unique, because in any other like revenge movie, the tech millionaire, billionaire kind of guy in his penthouse,
He'd be
like
dead.
he would be screaming, raging, "How dare you? Do you not know who I am?" and all that, like going to a monologue, seething, right? And then that would give, that allowed the audience to win you over, like, okay, this guy has to go. But
Yeah.
he didn't. He was very calm. He was like, I didn't know that's what it entailed. We, like you said, we don't have a problem, and that's it.
Yeah. One could say almost an anticlimactic ending. Because aside from the Florida fight scene, that was pretty much it. It
Yeah,
was,
like
this movie is not like an action packed.
I would also say this is not a typical Fincher film
No.
where there's a lot of twists and turns. This is, like you said, like that's it. This is a very, and I don't mean this in a negative way. This is a very simple film.
Yeah, it's
But,
basically a day in the
but
life of a hitman when shit goes wrong.
basically, like he goes to location to location, he works up the chain, he finds a guy, has a conversation, decides not to kill him, decides to go back to his girlfriend, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the deeper meaning could be all his monologues. Does he believe in what he says, or is he actually good at his job? Like, there's that, which is what we're discussing now. But again, this is no Seven. This is no Fight Club, right? This is no
No.
Gone Girl, where there's that twist or that shock that will have people talking about the film for 20 years. It seems like Fincher wanted to do a simple movie, and I think he executed it pretty well.
I'd have to concur with that.
I mean, I guess before we wrap up, like, did you have any negatives? We're very positive about the film right now.
Not really, because I think I was expecting more going into it.
Mhm.
But taking the film for what it is, it succeeds at everything it's trying to do. Because
Yeah,
he kind of has the whole, I've been out of college for a while, but the whole psychopathic, sociopathic thing going on that you would actually see in most hitmen. The complete detached from emotion, everything is just kind of by the books routine. There's no feelings involved with it. He wasn't even mad that they really went after, you know, his family and himself, really. Or at least he never conveyed that emotion. It was just all simple reacting to the situations.
yeah. I mean, well, I think his issue was they went after the girlfriend, and he wasn't there. Like, if they just went after him, I think he'd be fine with it. So, do you think then it's partially guilt, the fact that he wasn't there in time to stop it? Not that
Uh,
he's mad per se, but it's guilt that like he wasn't there to try and stop it, and now look what happened.
I think it was more of an ego thing because he thinks very highly of himself. So the fact that they would
He does.
dare go into his house and try to
Hmm.
kill him, but they don't find him, so they just beat up his girlfriend. I think it's more of an ego thing than his personal feelings.
It could be. It could be. I think that's what makes this movie shine. I mean, personally, I don't really have any negatives about it. Like, I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but you know, to what you said earlier, this is what it advertised it as well too. It's not like Netflix and Fincher's like, this is Fincher back in action, like how you remember him. It's like they weren't selling that. They were selling a thriller movie about a hitman. That's what you got. It's well made. That's kind of it.
Yeah,
I think for that, like it executed it well. And even now we're still talking about like the motives of the killer, which we never find out his name too, by the way. Like It's just a killer, the hitman, however you want to call him. I mean, I guess to wrap it up, I mean, I recommend giving it a watch. It's a good time.
Yeah, I'd have to recommend it as well. But as always, these are only our thoughts. We want to know your thoughts. As always, feel free to let us know at Entertainment Expansion. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Lesson of the day, kids. What would John Wilkes Booth do? If you understand the reference, feel free to comment below and tell us why you like the movie or dislike it. Thank you for listening.